Yun Chujio hurriedly fed the old man a medicinal pill, but the old man's injuries were too severe. Although his life was not in danger after consuming the medicinal pill, he would not wake up for at least 10 days to half a month. Yun Chujio had no choice but to send the old man to his residence. After having the secret guards of the Temple of Immortals protect him, she once again helped the crowd deal with the aftermath. This time, it could be said that the Tianyuan Academy had suffered the greatest damage. Fortunately, the crowd had experienced what it meant to be united as one, and their cohesiveness was stronger than before. In the final count, although no students had died, there were nearly 100 students whose dantian had been destroyed. The faces of those students were as ashen as death. Not being able to cultivate meant that they would only be ordinary people in the future. They only had a lifespan of a few decades. Yun Chujio frowned and could not help but sigh. If the Guai Chao in her dantian could not be removed in the future, it might end up like this. Could it be that her dantian was destroyed and she could not cultivate? Prince Charming, I seem to have heard you say that after the dantian is destroyed, the dantian can be rebuilt. Can you rebuild the dantian for these students? Yun Chujio whispered to Di Baiming. Di Baiming sighed. Little Jiao, if it's that simple, I don't have to worry about the Guai Chao in your danan. Although my master has the art of dantian reconstruction, the dantian after reconstruction is extremely fragile. If it's not done properly, it will be destroyed again. Therefore, the spiritual power of the person who reconstructs the dantian can only remain below the level of a spiritual venerable. Even so, it's still better than being a cripple. Ask my martial uncle if he can help them reconstruct their dantian. If they need spirit stones or herbs, I can provide them. Yun Chujio said with a pained expression. Di Baiming could not help but curl the corners of his mouth. Little Jiao, are you really willing to do it? Yun Chujio sighed. Of course I'm not willing to do it. However, you also know that those people in black came for my master. These students were implicated. My master must feel guilty. As his disciple, if I can help him, I can at least alleviate his guilt. Di Baiming comforted, I will definitely fight for it with my master. Moreover, these students are not very talented. Even if their dantian is not destroyed, they might not be able to cultivate to the level of a spiritual venerable. Therefore, you should advise your master not to feel too guilty. Moreover, the path of cultivation is full of dangers. You can't blame others if your strength isn't good enough. Yun Chujio obviously knew that Di Baiming was comforting her. She nodded. Okay, let's deal with the aftermath first. Then, there's a big thing waiting for us to do. Di Baiming was stunned. What big thing? There are still 7 people trapped in the trial tower. Wait until everything is settled here. Well, close the door and kill the dogs. Well, release one person from the trial tower and kill another. Well, leave behind a soul search and well know the background of these people. Yun Chujio said fiercely. If they hurt her master, none of them would be able to live. Di Baiming nodded. All right, let's first recover our physical strength and spiritual power. Then, well, think of a foolproof plan before killing them. After a day and night of cleaning up, the Tianyuan Academy temporarily regained its peace. As the old man was unconscious, there was no way for them to ask any questions. Hence, everyone could only gather together to discuss how to deal with the 7 people in the trial tower. Finally, everyone discussed. After setting up layers of formations, they would have the trial tower release everyone one by one. This way, they would be able to ensure that every person that came out would be killed without leaving any trouble behind. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. As everyone was tired after working for a day and a night, they decided to rest for the night and move out the next morning. Di Baiming directly followed Yun Chujio to Yun Chujio's dormitory to rest. Now, no one had the mood to gossip about these things. Only Lan Luchen's eyes flickered a few times, but he did not say anything. As for Xue Wuji, he did not have the sour feeling of the past at all. Instead, he could not help but think of that lecherous woman. He spat at himself a few times and then went to the guest room to rest. After Di Baiming and Yun Chujio washed up, Di Baiming asked, Little Jiao, didn't you say that you were trapped in the Prodigy Hall? How did you get out? When Yun Chujio heard Di Biming's question, she immediately recounted the incident to Di Biming with great joy. At that time, Yun Chujio was about to take the opportunity to form a contract with the small eagle, but a white light flashed in front of her eyes. When Yun Chujio opened her eyes again, she found that she had returned to the palace from before. Yun Chujio thought that they should have a normal test this time, but after waiting for a long time, there was still no movement. Qi Ling, get out here. What do you mean? Bastard. Have you been angered by me? Coward, if you have the ability, come out. A timid Qi Ling like you is simply a disgrace to the Qi Ling world. No matter how Yun Chujio cursed, Qi Ling did not make a sound, and the surrounding environment did not change. Did the damn Qi Ling want to trap me in this palace? Yun Chujio was right. The Qi Ling of the Heaven's Pride Palace realized that Yun Chujio was too abnormal. She was able to trick the golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle to give her child. Such a freak probably would not be able to stop her no matter what. Since that was the case, she would use the same strategy to deal with all the changes. Trap her to death. Yun Chujio cursed until her mouth was dry, but it was of no use. She simply began to use the rolling pin to knock around, trying to find a loophole. Unfortunately, after busying herself for a long time, she still couldn't find any exit, so she could only stop and rest. For 3 days in a row, Yun Chujio still couldn't find an exit. The weapon spirit remained silent as if it was dead. In fact, this guy was hiding in a corner and jumping with joy. Damn it. You little brat, you also have this day. You shall be trapped here for the rest of your life. Ha! Just as Qi Ling was showing off, she heard Yun Chujio say faintly, Qi Ling, I wonder if your Pride of Heaven Palace is afraid of being burned by fire? How about I light a fire for you? Qi Ling was stunned at first, then pursed her lips. Did this little brat think that this Qi Ling was brainless? Ordinary flames could not burn down this palace. Moreover, if she were to light a fire, she would be the first to be burnt to death. Qi Ling did not believe that she would really dare to set a fire. Just as Qi Ling was thinking about this, she saw Yun Chujio call out a black fire-spitting crow from her spiritual beast pouch. The fire-spitting crow opened its mouth. A large fireball with purple lightning power smashed towards a corner of the palace. Just because the fire could not destroy the palace did not mean that the fireball spat out by Xiao Hanyo could not destroy it. The corner of the palace immediately caught fire. The weapon spirit Qi Ling scolded, Stupid girl! Are you crazy? Aren't you afraid that you will also be burned to death if you catch fire? Yun Chujio giggled, Little bastard, you finally dare to speak? You don't have to worry for me. I have the fire-repelling pearl in my hands, so even if the palace is burned to ashes, I will be fine. Seeing the fire-repelling pearl in Yun Chujio's hand, the artifact spirit of the Pride of Heaven Palace was both shocked and angry. It was really the fire-repelling pearl. How could this damned brat have a fire-repelling pearl? Little bastard, I reckon you'll be bored inside the Pride of Heaven Palace. How fun would it be if I set you on fire? It's like setting off fireworks. Yun Chujio said with a grin. Setting off fireworks? Set your head on fire. If the Pride of Heaven Palace was burned down, would the spirit of this item be able to move? Qi Ling was terrified. Qi Ling finally put out the fire with great difficulty and then said in a low voice, Stinky little fairy, I'm just teasing you. I'll let you out right now. Humph. Have you ever heard the saying, it's easy to invite the gods but hard to send them off? You want to send me off just like that? Let me tell you, even if you forcefully send me out, I will still burn your asshole nest outside. No one dares to say anything wrong when I say one thing in Tianyuan Academy. You know about the trial tower, right? The little black frog in there is now very obedient under my care. Entering and leaving the trial tower is just like playing with it. So, if you don't show some sincerity today, we're not done. Yun Chujio said arrogantly with her hands on her waist. Qi Ling wanted to cry but had no tears. It knew that what Yun Chujio said was definitely true because this black-hearted person could think of any bad ideas. Even the golden-winged vermilion-beaked eagle was tricked into giving the small eagle to her. What else could she not do? Little fairy, what do you want? What do you want? Come out and let me beat you up first. Well, little fairy, it's better to be famous than to meet each other. Let's preserve some mystery. Qi Ling had a spiritual heart. Unless this Qi Ling was stupid, he would only go out. If he went out, it would definitely not be good. Pa! You shameless bastard. And you even used words with me. It's fine even if we don't meet. You've turned my points into infinity, so that I can forever occupy the first place. Then, you can compensate me with 100 immortal items, and I won't burn your fucking nest. Qi Ling was about to cry. The points were fine, but where could he get 100 immortal items? Little fairy, I really don't have an immortal item. Think about it, my Heaven's Pride Tower is just for testing, there's no reward at all, so how could I have an immortal item? If you don't have an immortal item, then use Supreme Grade Spirit Stones to exchange. One immortal item costs 1 million Supreme Grade Spirit Stones. Just give me 100 million Supreme Grade Spirit Stones. Qi Ling almost vomited blood. 100 million Supreme Grade Spirit Stones? Why don't you go and rob it? No, even if you rob it, you can't get it. Do you think Supreme Grade Spirit Stones are like cabbages? Little fairy, first of all, we don't have that many Supreme Grade Spirit Stones, and second of all, the Heaven's Pride role needs Supreme Grade Spirit Stones to operate. Please do me a favor. I'm begging you. Qi Ling lost all her temper, crying and begging for mercy. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. This damn Qi Ling made some sense. If they didn't have top-grade Spirit Stones, the prodigy role wouldn't be able to operate. At that time, Old Man Huangfu would probably strangle her to death. Forget it. Forget it. I'm a kind-hearted person. Qi Ling heard Yun Chujio's words and was about to shed tears of gratitude. However, Yun Chujio continued, however, we don't have immortal tools or top-grade spirit stones. Just pay with your flesh. Come on, let me ravage you to my heart's content. Then we'll call it even. Qi Ling's head was shaking like a rattledrum, and he couldn't leave even if he was beaten to death. This black-hearted man could even kill a newborn small eagle, so wouldn't he torture his own Qi Ling to death? Qi Ling knew that Yun Chujio would not let it go without a little blood. She could only clench her teeth and say, Little fairy, although I don't have any immortal items or top-grade spirit stones, I can give you a top-grade item. Top-grade item? What good item? What good item can you have with your poor appearance? Although Yun Chujio was overjoyed in her heart, she had a contemptuous expression on her face. The weapon spirit was successfully stimulated by Yun Chujio's competitive spirit. She said loudly, Humph. Although this weapon spirit is a little poor, this thing was considered a rare item in the ancient times. This was obtained with great difficulty by my first master. Little bastard who doesn't know how to boast. What exactly is it? Hearing the weapon spirit's words, Yun Chujio felt like a cat scratching her heart. It must be a good thing to say so much. What exactly was it? It's a formation to repair remnant souls, the Great Void Soul Repairing Formation. As long as you have this formation, you can repair remnant souls. This is definitely a heaven-defying formation. You're the only one who met this item spirit. Otherwise, you wouldn't have found this heaven-defying formation even if you went to the heavens and earth. With this Great Void Soul Repairing Formation Yun Chujio did not listen to the bragging behind the item spirit. 3 golden words flashed repeatedly in her mind. I've made a fortune. Ha! With the Great Void Soul Mending Formation, she could repair the remnant souls of Fu Ao and the rest. Other things aside, as long as she could repair the remnant souls of Tao Wu and Xiong Qi, they would be 2 great killing weapons. Although she might lose a part of her soul every time she came out, she could repair it again. Wow, I've struck it rich. It was really worth it to enter the prodigy role. Thank you, Tianyuan Academy. Thank you, Heaven's Pride role. Thank you, Qi Ling. Thank you, old witch, for making things difficult for me. Even though this fellow was about to go crazy with joy. However, he curled his lips and said, Great Void Soul Mending Formation? What you said is pretty awesome, but I don't have a remnant soul to use to repair it, so what's the use of having it? However, I don't think you can bring out any other good things, so I'll reluctantly agree to it. Hearing Yun Chujia's words, the weapon spirit was afraid that she would go back on her words, so it quickly threw a sheepskin scroll to Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio had just received the sheepskin scroll when a white light flashed in front of her eyes. When she opened her eyes again, she was already outside the prodigy role. Yun Chujio saw that the first name on the screen had indeed been changed to her name. Other people's names were followed by the number of points. Only her name was followed by 3 bright words, Infinity. Yun Chujio nodded her head in satisfaction. Just as she was about to check the sheepskin scroll, she smelled a strong smell of blood. So, she hurriedly put away the sheepskin scroll and rushed to save her. Prince Charming, you have reminded me. I have to see if the sheepskin scroll is the great void soul repairing formation. If the weapon spirit on the prodigy roll dares to touch me, I will burn its shit nest. Yun Chujio took out the sheepskin scroll as she spoke. When she opened it to take a look, she was dumbfounded. The sheepskin scroll was densely packed with words, but they were all ancient characters. Yun Chujio could only recognize a few sparse words. Yun Chujio was so angry that she cursed the prodigy roll's Qi Ling. Di Baiming could not help but laugh. Little Jio, this great void soul mending formation was originally left behind from the ancient times. Naturally, it was written in ancient characters. You've wronged the weapon spirit of the prodigy roll. Yun Chujio thought about it and it made sense. If it was not written in ancient characters, then it meant that it was fake. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Prince Charming, I thought that I would reach the peak of my life from now on. As long as I learn the great void soul repairing formation and repair the remnant souls of Tao Wu and Xiong Qi, who could be my little fairy Jio's match. What a pity, it was just a daydream, Yun Chujio said with a sigh. Di Baiming could only comfort her. Yun Chujio's greatest strength was her big heart. She quickly threw this matter to the back of her mind and forced Di Baiming to sing a few lullabies. This fellow fell asleep soundly. She fell asleep, but Di Baiming did not feel sleepy at all. He sensed a huge crisis. Those black-clothed people were most likely from other high-grade continents. With the first batch, there would be a second batch. These people's spiritual power was too high. If they did not think of any effective methods, the Tianyuan continent would be in danger. Di Baiming's brows suddenly relaxed as he thought about it. This was because he thought of the Tianyuan continent and the Qingxian continent. When people from the Tianyuan continent arrived at the Qingxian continent, although their spiritual power was suppressed, it was like a wolf entering a flock of sheep. Then why did very few people go to the Qingxian continent? The reason was very simple. The most fundamental goal of a cultivator was to cultivate the great Tao. The rest of the matters were secondary. The spiritual qi of the low-level continents was much thinner than that of the high-level continents. There was no need to delay their cultivation just to show off. The enmity between Fan Zhen and the dry old man should have been decades ago. Now that he had found his way here, it meant that he had never thought that the dry old man would stoop down and come to the low-grade continents. Di Baiming finally came to a conclusion. If there was no reason that he had to come, the other people on Fan Zhen's continent would not easily come to the Tianyuan continent. When Di Baiming thought of this, he kissed Yun Chujio on the forehead and fell asleep. The next morning, Di Baiming told Yun Chujio his thoughts. Yun Chujio blinked her starry eyes and said, "My Prince Charming, you are indeed my Prince Charming. You are so smart." Di Baiming's ears were slightly red and he said unnaturally, "Let's go to the trial tower quickly, in case something unexpected happens." After saying that, Di Baiming left the room in a hurry. Yun Chujio touched her chin. Was the pretty boy embarrassed? Why was his skin getting thinner and thinner? When Yun Chujio and Di Baiming arrived at the trial tower, Dean Huangfu and the rest had also arrived. Only Shui Wuji yawned and came late. "Brother Wuji, your dark circles are too obvious. Didn't you sleep last night? What did you do?" Yun Chujio asked curiously. Shui Wuji said in a slightly flustered manner, "Brother, I naturally couldn't sleep for the safety of the Tianyuan continent. How can I be like some people who sleep until dawn without a care in the world?" "Ah, so it's like that. Then, Brother Wuji, have you thought of any countermeasures?" How can countermeasures be so easy to think of? Little Sister Gio, let's not talk about this anymore. Let's hurry up and deal with the bastard in the trial tower. Shui Wuji said with a slightly erratic gaze. Yun Chujio pursed her lips. This Wuji's head must be hiding something from her. How could a heartless person like him think of a countermeasure? Pooey! When Shui Wuji saw that Yun Chujio did not pursue the matter any further, he heaved a sigh of relief. He would never admit that he could not sleep after having a colorful dream last night. Seeing that everyone was ready, Yun Chujio stretched her neck and shouted, "Xiao Hei, release one of the black-clothed men. It'll drain his blood." Although the weapon spirit of the trial tower was so aggrieved that it wanted to cry, it still obediently released one of the men in black. This was because it felt that Yun Chujio, this black-hearted person, was much more terrifying than the men in black. Although those black-robed men had superb spiritual powers, the weapon spirit of the trial tower was too profound. These people had died countless times in there. Not to mention the 9th floor, even the 7th floor was impossible for them to pass through. Qi Ling and Yun Chujio were the only ones who could pass through the 7th floor. The weapon spirit finally found a long-lost confidence in these people. It seemed that other than that pervert Yun Chujio, the others were still unable to defeat this weapon spirit. A black-clothed person was released by the trial tower's Qi Ling. That person was beaten up by Yun Chujio and the others with a dumbfounded expression. At first, that person thought that he was still in the trial tower. By the time he reacted, he was already beaten up to the point that he was on his last breath. After Yun Chujio killed the black-clothed person with a rolling pin, she continued to let people out from the trial tower. After repeating this over and over again, the trial tower released one person after another until the last black-clothed man was released. After everyone beat the black-clothed man half to death, they restrained his spiritual energy. Yun Chujio held the large kitchen knife used to extract confessions and said with a smile, "Speak, who are you people? Did you come to the Tianyuan continent just to seek revenge?" The black-clothed man snorted coldly and did not speak. Yun Chujio directly cut his face and then took out a handful of chili flour from her storage ring and sprinkled it on him. Everyone could not help but feel a chill on their backs. This little pervert was becoming more and more perverted. "We must not offend her." The black-robed man screamed miserably. Yun Chujio poured a basin of clear water on his face and said, "Are you going to tell me or not? If you are not going to tell me, I can add some salt to you. Of course, if you like sweet and sour, I can also add some sweet and sour for you." The man in black almost fainted from anger. Although he wanted to hold on, he thought that Fanjin was already dead. Why would he have to suffer? Hence, he was terrified. According to what the man in black said, they were all from the immortal Yuan continent. He was just a guard of Fanjin's family, so he was only following orders. As for the grudge between Fanjin and the dried-up old man, he knew very little. He only knew that Fanjin had been searching for the dried-up old man's whereabouts. When Yun Chujio heard about the immortal Yuan continent, her heart was moved. "You are from the immortal Yuan continent? Then do you know the Chaos Origin sect and the Killing Origin sect?" The man in black quickly said, "The Chaos Origin sect and the Killing Origin sect are the two famous super sects in the immortal Yuan continent. However, these two sects are in the Eastern continent, where the spiritual energy is rich. We are all from the Western continent. The immortal Origin continent was divided into the Eastern and Western continents. The spiritual energy in the Eastern continent was much richer than that in the Western continent. The Western continent was lower than the Eastern continent in all aspects. Therefore, the people of the Western continent did not have much of a say in the Tianyuan continent." Hearing the black-clothed man's words, everyone could only sigh. There was really someone better than them. These people from the Western continent were super experts in the Tianyuan continent. They did not expect that they were at the lowest level of existence in the Tianyuan continent. Yun Chujio asked a few more questions and in the end, there was nothing more to ask. She directly used a large kitchen knife to kill the black-robed man. After some discussion, everyone basically agreed with Di Baiming's opinion. It seemed that this was just a revenge. Since Fanjin was already dead, there shouldn't be anyone from the immortal Yuan continent who would come looking for trouble. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief in their hearts. It just so happened that the holidays of the Tian Yuan Academy were about to arrive. Yun Chujio decided to shamelessly ask Dean Huangfu to approve her leave in advance. This fellow decided to go to the Netherworld continent with Di Baiming to meet her foster parents. After that, she would return to the Azure Mystic continent to show off. Visiting relatives. Jin Ji might as well follow Yun Chujio back to the Netherworld continent. In any case, she was only an exchange student. Dean Huangfu could only turn a blind eye to it. The journey was very smooth. The Saintess and Yun Zhangqing were very happy to see Yun Chujio. They immediately decided to set off for Qing Xian continent. Sheng Envi and Yun Chujio were very happy to see Yun Chujio. Jin Ji was also very restless. She shamelessly followed them. Yun Chujio was very happy. The two little girls stuck together all day long. They were chattering happily. Besides the two of them, there was another person who was very happy. That was the all-round dark guard, Enfeng. Di Baiming glanced at Enfeng and frowned. He felt that Enfeng had been acting a little strange recently, and there was always a strange expression on his face. Di Baiming thought for a few days and finally thought of an adjective, rippling. However, Di Baiming was not in the mood to interrogate Enfeng right now. He was busy trying to gain a good impression of Sheng Envi and Yun Zhangqing every day. Yun Zhangqing was a little better off. He saw that Di Baiming had a dignified appearance and a high level of spiritual power. Moreover, he treated Yun Chujio very well, so he did not have any objections. The Saintess was different. She always remembered how the lady of the Sheng Envi made things difficult for Yun Chujio, so she was a little dissatisfied with Di Baiming. Therefore, Yun Chujio and Jin Ji were having fun. Enfeng was secretly laughing while Di Baiming was trying his best to please his mother-in-law. When they entered the Qing Xian continent, the Holy Maiden and Jin Ji's spiritual power had already degraded to the level of Sheng Envi. Di Baiming and the others' spiritual power had also decreased to different degrees. However, even if Di Baiming and the others' spiritual power had decreased, they were still top-notch existences in the Qing Xian continent. Moreover, Yun Chujio had already made other arrangements. As soon as they arrived outside the Linghua city, they saw many people waiting for them. "Welcome, little ancestor Yun. Welcome, sect leader. Welcome, little fairy Jiao." At this moment, Yun Chujio wished she could sing a song to express her smug feelings. Damn it! The serf that she had been a serf for so many years had finally turned around and started singing. This fellow pretended to nod at everyone. "All of you are very good. This fairy is very satisfied. After this fairy returns home to visit my grandfather, I will look for all of you to catch up on old times. Alright, long time no see. Did you guys prepare a lot of good things for me?" When everyone saw that Yun Chujio was still so shameless, they immediately felt very familiar with her. After greeting her, they watched Yun Chujio enter Linghua City. "Father, mother, did you see that? Little Jiao, I am very impressive. Beauty Jinji, did you see that? Did you look down on me back then? Now that you are so weak, you still need me to protect you. Male God, do you still remember? When we first met, I was still a trash who couldn't cultivate. Did you think that I would be so awesome today? Little madman, do you still remember that when we were chased by those people from the Heaven sect, we were in a very sorry state? Now who dares to touch fairy me? I'll kill him." The corners of everyone's eyes twitched violently. "Little Jiao, you can show off, but you have to have a limit, right? Aren't you going a little too far by showing off like this?" Everyone soon arrived at the Yun mansion. Yun Chujio had already sent a message to Yun Xiaotian, and it was a gradual one at that. She was just afraid that the old man would be too surprised and something might go wrong. The people of the Yun mansion were waiting outside the gate. Originally, Yun Xiaotian was an elder, so he did not need to come out. However, the old man was too excited, so he ignored everyone's advice and waited at the gate. Yun Zhangqing's tiger-like eyes were filled with tears. He knelt in front of Yun Shan and said, "Father, the unfilial son is back." Yun Xiaodan was also in tears. "It's good that he's back, it's good that he's back." Sheng Envi also knelt down and bowed. In an instant, everyone burst into tears. Ahem. Ahem. Why are you crying over such a happy occasion? Grandfather, little Gio, I haven't had lunch yet. Can you give me some food before you cry? Yun Chujio was afraid that Yun Xiaotian would cry, so she could only joke around with a smile. Grandfather has prepared a lot of your favorite food for you. Lunch is also ready. Hurry up and come in. Yun Xiaotian wiped away his tears. He saw that Yun Chujio had grown up to be more elegant and refined. Now, she had found her son and daughter-in-law back. Naturally, he felt very comforted. Yun Chujio introduced Jin Ji to everyone. After everyone greeted her, they all entered the Yun mansion happily. Yun Chujio felt that she was simply too blissful right now. She had family, loved ones, and friends. There were also countless spirit stones in her storage ring. Wasn't that the pinnacle of her life? In the next few days, Yun Chujio brought Jin Ji around. Today, she went to the Thunder sect to show off, and tomorrow, she went to the Linghua sect to show off. She was just short of announcing to the world that she, Yun Chujio, had returned. Di Baiming was not as heartless as her. He seized every opportunity to create a good impression in front of the Yun family. He had already decided in his heart that after returning to the Tianyuan continent this time, he would give the betrothal gifts and wait for Yun Chujio to graduate before getting married. Yun Chujio and the others had stayed in the Qingxian continent for more than half a month. Although the Saintess had tried her best to invite Yun Xiaotian and the others to settle down in the Netherworld continent, Yun Xiaotian was still unable to leave his hometown. Everyone had no choice but to leave in tears. Grandfather, we will come back to see you soon. Don't worry, when the time comes, my mother might bring back a grandchild for you. Yun Chujio stood on the flying spirit tool and said with a smile. The sadness of leaving was immediately washed away by Yun Chujio's interference. After Yun Chujio and Di Baiming escorted the Saintess and Yun Zhangqing to the Netherworld continent, they returned to the Tianyuan continent. Yun Chujio and the Xing Envy had also returned to the Tianyuan continent. Yun Chujio had not seen the palace master's wife for a long time, so she decided to follow Di Baiming back to the Temple of Immortals to take a look. Naturally, Di Baiming was more than happy to do so. Beauty Jinji, it's not interesting for you to return to the Tianyuan Academy alone. Follow me to the Temple of Immortals as a guest. Let me tell you, the food cooked in the dining hall of the prince's family is so delicious. There's also a large forest of spirit fruits. The fruits on them are very sweet and tempting. Jin Ji slapped Di Baiming's cold arrow. Good. I heard about the Temple of Immortals in the Netherworld. It's a good opportunity for me to experience it. Di Baiming wished he could slap Jin Ji away. However, he was afraid that Yun Chujio would be angry, so he could only keep quiet with a dark face. Jin Ji knew that Di Baiming was unhappy, but this guy had a big heart. As long as Yun Chujio was happy, she did not care whether Di Baiming was happy or not. The two little girls hit it off very well. They chatted endlessly and soon, the flying spirit tool arrived at the Longevity Palace. Auntie, little Gio came to see you. Did you miss me? Yun Chujio directly gave the palace mistress a big hug. You're already a big girl. And you're still so unstable. Although the palace mistress said so, her eyelashes were happy. It was clear that she was very happy. Yun Chujio introduced Jin Ji to the hall master's wife. The hall master's wife said some polite words and gave Jin Ji a greeting gift. Everyone began to chat happily. Although Di Baiming had already told the hall master's wife some things, the hall master's wife still asked about it. Yun Chujio said it again with a beaming face. When she mentioned the mother-daughter relationship, the hall master's wife also shed a few tears. Yun Chujio thought of the matter of the prodigy role. She said rather smugly, Aunt, I'm really sorry. When I challenged the prodigy role, I accidentally got first place on the overall role. Moreover, this first place will never be snatched away by others in the future. When the palace master's wife heard Yun Chujio's words, she could not help but be stunned. First place on the overall ranking? It's impossible for someone else to snatch it away? What does that mean? Yun Chujio, this fellow, had long been prepared. She did not mind the effort and specially drew the prodigy roll. "And look, I've already drawn it for you. You and Uncle can take a look. This fellow is very vengeful. HMsh, didn't you look down on me back then? Didn't you say that I would not be able to enter the top 100? I will give you the first place back. And it will be the eternal first place. I will ask you, are you surprised? Does your face hurt?" When the palace mistress and Di Linhan saw the 3 words, infinity, behind Yun Chujia's name, they could not help but be dumbfounded. Is this even a joke? Was the weapon spirit of the prodigy roll having a stroke? Why did it give such an unreliable point? Infinity, it would indeed forever dominate the first place. The palace mistress was not as petty as Yun Chujio. She said with a smile, "Little Geo girl, since you have obtained the first place on the prodigy roll, I will arrange for people to go to the Netherworld continent and the Qing Xian continent to deliver the betrothal gifts. Once you graduate, the 2 of you will be married." If it were any other girl, she would definitely be shy. However, Yun Chujio had always been different from others. When she heard the palace master's wife say this, grinning, she said, "Aunt, remember to prepare the betrothal gifts in a grand manner. I'll only have face if I marry like this." The corners of everyone's eyes twitched. No one could be this thick-skinned. In the next few days, Yun Chujio brought Jin Ji to the Temple of Immortals to have fun. Unexpectedly, on this afternoon, an uninvited guest came to the Temple of Immortals. And Feng came to report that Yun Chujio and the others were having lunch. Everyone was laughing and laughing happily. "Temple Master, Your Excellency, a group of people has come. Their spiritual power is unfathomable. The leader is a woman who is slightly older. She asked to see Miss Jiu by name." Everyone was shocked. Spiritual power was unfathomable? Requested to see Yun Chujio by name? "Father, I'll go out and see what's going on." Di Baiming stood up and prepared to go out and see what was going on. However, Yun Chujio said, "Prince Charming, since she said request to see, it means that either she has a request for me or her status is lower than mine. Since that's the case, you don't have to lower yourself to see her." "Little madman, tell the people outside that the woman is only allowed to bring in 2 maids at most. The rest are not allowed to come in." Baiming, little Jiu is right. "Just let that person come in and ask about the situation," the palace master's wife said from the side. Di Baiming could only nod at Feng, who then turned around and left. Yun Chujio and the others stood up and went to the living room. They were all puzzled. Who exactly were the people who came? A moment later, 3 people came in from outside. The leader was a woman who looked to be about 50 years old. Of course, the age and appearance of cultivators didn't match. She looked to be 50 years old. Perhaps she was over 100 years old or a few hundred years old. The woman's clothes were very gorgeous, and the workmanship and materials used were extremely exquisite. However, there wasn't a trace of a smile on her face. Behind the woman were 2 maids. Their looks were very beautiful, but there was a trace of disdain on the corners of their eyes and brows. When Di Baiming and the others saw the 3 people, their hearts tightened. The spiritual power of these 3 people was unfathomable. Especially that woman. Her spiritual power seemed to be even more profound than Fan Zhen's spiritual power. Who exactly were these people? Why were they looking for little Jiu? "May I know how to address this lady? What brings you to my palace of immortals?" Di Linhan asked in a low voice. The expression on the lattice face remained unchanged, but Yun Chujio quickly caught a trace of disdain in her eyes. "I am Manager Xia of the Mo clan on the immortal Yuan continent. I am here under the orders of my clan head and lady to welcome the eldest daughter back to the Mo clan." "Eldest daughter, please?" Di Linhan and the others were immediately taken aback. "Eldest miss? Could she be referring to little Jiu?" "Manager Xia, may I know who the eldest miss you are referring to?" Di Linhan continued to ask. Manager Xia raised her chin slightly and looked at Yun Chujio. "In your place, she should be called Yun Chujio, right? Eldest miss, the family head and madam are missing their daughters dearly. Come back to the Mo residence with me immediately." The wife of the palace lord could not take it anymore. "Outrageous. Even if they were to recognize each other as family, there would be no one like you. What evidence do you have to prove that little Gio is your young miss? Moreover, even if little Gio is really the young miss of your MO residence, you are just a servant and you have such an attitude? A trace of viciousness flashed in Manager Xia's eyes, and she raised her hand to strike the wife of the palace lord. Fortunately, Di Linhan had acted in time to neutralize the strike, but she could feel the spirit energy within her dantian trembling intensely. A shadow could not help but form in her heart. Manager Xia's spirit energy was truly unfathomable. What right does an ant from a lower-grade continent have to question this manager? If it was not for the sake of the eldest miss, I would have long sent people to exterminate your so-called Palace of Immortals. A power from a lower-grade continent actually dared to call themselves the Palace of Immortals? They really overestimated their own abilities, making people laugh out loud. Manager Xia saw that their relationship had been torn to shreds. Her words became even more arrogant. When Yun Chujio saw that Di Baiming was about to make a move, she spoke first. Manager Xia, may I know if the MO clan you mentioned is in the eastern continent or the western continent of the immortal origin continent? When Manager Xia heard this, she couldn't help but feel a little surprised. This country bumpkin even knew that the immortal origin continent was divided into the eastern continent and the western continent? She probably heard it by chance. Our MO residence is in the western continent, but our family is in the eastern continent. Miss, with your spiritual power, there is still some time left for you to ascend, but now you can directly go to the immortal essence continent. You have reached the sky in one step. Hurry up and follow me. Of course, you can leave, but you have to prove that I am the miss that you speak of. Otherwise, if I go up and enjoy a few good days, and you call me an imposter, wouldn't I be happy for nothing? Yun Chujio said with a smile. Manager Xia could not help but despise her in his heart. One look and he could tell that she was greedy for wealth. This would be easy to handle. Lady, our MO residents will naturally not simply find someone to recognize them as family. This time, we naturally have conclusive evidence. Eldest Miss appearance is exactly the same as that of the late madam. In addition, we have already found your foster mother and obtained this small quilt from her. The corner of this small quilt has our MO residence's special imprint. Moreover, the time we found you also coincides with the time you went missing at that time, so Eldest Miss doesn't need to doubt your identity. Oh, since that's the case, then I'm relieved. Alright, what have you done with my foster father and foster mother? Manager Xia saw that Yun Chujio did not look worried about her adoptive father and adoptive mother. On the contrary, she looked excited. In her heart, she was even more contemptuous. They are unharmed. As long as Miss follows us back to the MO family, we will release your adoptive parents. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. The veins on Di Baiming's forehead were popping up. If it wasn't for Yun Chujio's continuous expression, he would have been unable to suppress the anger in his heart. How was this acknowledging family? It was clearly snatching people away. Manager Xia, this good news really caught me off guard. Can you let me pack my things first? Yun Chujio was still smiling. Manager Xia's eyes flashed with a hint of disdain. She was certain that Yun Chujio was so vain that she would definitely agree to follow her back to the MO family, therefore she nodded. Alright, then I'll wait outside. However, Miss, although your adoptive parents are safe and sound now, it's hard to say in another 4 hours. After saying that, Manager Xia arrogantly left with the two handmaidens. Di Baiming's face was gloomy. Little Gio, you can't go with them. Little Gio girl, you can't be stupid. Even if you really are that MO residence's young miss, you can tell from this old woman's attitude that they definitely have bad intentions when they look for you. The palace master's wife said anxiously from the side. Jean Ji was even more direct. Little Gio, didn't that old woman already say it? Your mother is already dead. As the saying goes, if you have a stepmother, you'll have a stepfather. Your father will definitely not side with you. You're just looking for trouble if you go back. Yun Chujio sighed. How can I not know what you are saying? But you have also heard it. My foster parents are in their hands. If I don't go back with them, their lives will be in danger. Moreover, there are still dozens of people outside. Their spiritual powers are not weaker than Fan Zhen and the others. Can we beat them? Taking a step back, even if we can kill these people, will the MO residents let it go? Once they really go all out, not to mention the Temple of Immortals, even if all the experts of the Tianyuan continent were to gather together, they would not be a match for them. Di Baiming's eyes were bloodshot. He held Yun Chujia's hand tightly. No matter what the reason is, you cannot go with them. If they really want to acknowledge us as family, I will definitely not stop you. However, they clearly have bad intentions. If you go, you will be entering a dragon's den and a tiger's den. Prince Charming, calm down. Do you think we have any other choice? Even if we can escape, what about my adoptive parents? Since they have already found my adoptive parents, they naturally know about my grandfather and the others. Can they defeat these people? Although I'm not a good person, I can't harm my family and friends just because of myself. Prince Charming, I believe in you. As long as I give you some time, you will definitely be strong enough to save me. You must also believe in me and bring me back to their MO residence. Who knows, someone might be unlucky. I can go from being a trash who cannot cultivate to becoming a heaven's favorite in the Tianyuan continent. Naturally, I can also become the overlord of the immortal Yuan continent. Besides, Prince Charming, have you forgotten? Other than the old man, I still have 2 masters. If I really can't do it, I will use this identity to save my life. Yun Chujia's expression was extremely serious. She saw that Di Baiming had calmed down a little, then she said, Prince Charming, after I leave, you must protect yourself like Jade. Don't be seduced by that little fairy, or I will kill you and that little fairy. Everyone's heart was extremely heavy, but after hearing Yun Chujia's words, they were a little speechless. Little Gio, don't worry. Di Baiming, will not marry anyone other than you. If I violate this oath, the heavens will strike and I will die a horrible death. Di Baiming said slowly, word by word. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Yun Chujio said with a smile, Aya, I was a little worried at first. Since you've already sworn, then I'm relieved. I reckon that there are only a few reasons for them to look for me to go back. Firstly, it's possible that my mother left something good behind, and only I can open it. Second, maybe there was a marriage contract or something that I had to keep. Third, maybe there was an old ancestor or something who didn't want his children and grandchildren to wander outside, so he came to me. So, when you ascend, when you hear that I have a fiancé or something, don't take it to heart. No matter if the marriage partner is a cat or a dog, you are the only one in my heart. I will definitely think of a way to break off the marriage. You just need to trust me. Everyone was a little confused by Yun Chujia's reasoning. It sounded reasonable, but why was it a little awkward? Whether the marriage partner was a cat or a dog. Why did it not sound like a person's name? Although everyone was unwilling, logically, they knew that Yun Chujio would follow Manager Xia. This was the best way to avoid more casualties. Alright, it's almost time. Everyone should be fine. Wait for the good news that I will turn the immortal essence continent upside down. Don't send me off, or else I won't be able to bear to leave. Yun Chujio pretended not to care and said to everyone, then, she quickly rushed out of the living room. At first, Yun Chujio still had a smile on her face. As she walked, tears started to flow down her face. She thought that happiness was already within reach, but she did not expect to be told that it was just a bubble. It was really fucking tragic. Di Baiming stood where he was and watched Yun Chujio wipe her tears with her sleeves. His hands were tightly clenched and his lips were pursed into a straight line. His heart was filled with guilt and self-blame. Suddenly, he spat out a mouthful of blood and Di Baiming fell to the ground. Baiming! The palace mistress immediately cried out in shock. Yun Chujio, who had already walked far away, vaguely heard the palace mistress cry. She shook her head and thought that she might have heard wrongly. This fellow used his sleeve to wipe away his tears, and a trace of a smile appeared on his face. Regardless of whether it was a raging fire or a thorny thorn in front of her, I, Yun Chujio, will make it a broad and broad path. Mo family, you have touched my bottom line, and I will make all of you fly into chaos, unable to rest in peace. Yun Chujio came to the foot of the mountain and said to Manager Xia with a smile, Manager Xia, let's quickly set off. I can't wait to see my father. Miss, I don't know about your adoptive parents. How are you going to arrange it? Manager Xia curled her lips in disdain. What a cold-hearted person. Since she didn't ask what her adoptive parents looked like. They have at least raised me once. Feed them the antidote and throw it at the entrance of the Temple of Immortals. Naturally, someone will take care of them. Don't waste time. Let's go quickly. Manager Xia heard Yun Chujio's words and the disdain in her heart grew. It seemed that Madame was really worrying too much. Such a vain person didn't need to be threatened at all. Manager Xia took out a voice transmission talisman and sent a message to another group of people. There's no need to capture those people. Miss has already agreed to return to the Mo family with me. There's no need to cause any more trouble. When Yun Chujio saw Manager Xia's message, her heart slightly heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that the Yun residence was temporarily safe. After going up, she had to think of a way to protect everyone. Manager Xia summoned a flying spirit tool. When Yun Chujio saw it, she couldn't help but sigh in her heart. This immortal Yuan continent was indeed extraordinary. This flying spirit tool was much more advanced. Manager Xia and the others looked at Yun Chujio with envy as she stared at the flying spirit tool. They all looked at her with disdain. This young miss was really a country bumpkin who had never seen the world. After Yun Chujio boarded the flying spirit tool, she looked around and asked all sorts of questions. At first, Manager Xia only gave a few perfunctory answers. Later on, she simply stopped talking. Yun Chujio did not mind. She continued to wander around, occasionally looking for two maids to talk to the guards. May I know how to address the two sisters? Yun Chujio asked the two maids with a smile. My name is Dong Qing, and her name is Xia Yi. The two maids saw that Yun Chujio actually addressed them as sisters, and they could not help but feel very proud. So what if she is the eldest daughter of the Mo family? Now, she's still humbly fawning over us. What a waste. What a good name. The Mo residence is indeed worthy of being a large family in the high-level continent. Their naming skills are really good. Fuck, why wasn't it called Cordyceps sinensis? Pooey. Eldest daughter's original name was even more elegant. TSK. It's much better than the current Yun Chujio. Dong Qing's eyes flashed with a hint of schadenfreude. Oh, then what was my original name? Yun Chujio pretended to be curious and asked. Mo Fangchao. Yun Chujio's heart was like a beeping dog. Listen to this name, fuck? This clearly meant that it was worthless. It seemed that it was not welcomed when it was born. I wonder if I have younger siblings? What are their names? Of course there are. Second Miss Mo Fanghua is a heaven's favorite in the Western continent. Young Master Mo Junchen is also a pretty good person. Other than them, I don't have any other siblings? Yun Chujio could not help but curl her lips in her heart. One grass, one flower. This was enough to tell who was more favored. As for that young master, he was probably a gangster. Otherwise, he would not have paused for a moment before saying, pretty good. There's also the third Miss Mo Fangqin, who came from Antichio. Although she can't be compared to the second Miss, she can still be considered pretty good in the Western continent. Yun Chujio had a rough idea of the composition of the Mo residence's personnel, so she did not ask about the Mo residence anymore. Instead, she rambled on about other things. Although Dong Qing and Xia Yi looked down on Yun Chujio was, after all, the eldest miss in name. They felt very comfortable being fawned on like this, so they haughtily chatted with Yun Chujio. 3 days later, they finally arrived at the boundary between the immortal Yuan continent and the Tian Yuan continent. Yun Chujio did not expect that this boundary was actually in a sea. There were already 5 people waiting by the shore. Yun Chujio guessed that these people might be the ones who originally wanted to capture Yun Xiaotian and the others. Manager Xia said coldly, "Eldest miss, don't blame me for not warning you. This boundary is very dangerous. If you act without permission, you will bear the consequences." Manager Xia, "I cherish my life the most. I will be obedient. However, how are we going to pass through the barrier? Will there be danger?" Yun Chujio asked carefully. "Humph. If it was anyone else, they would naturally not be able to pass through the barrier. However, our MO residents had a treasure passed down from our ancestors to protect us. Otherwise, do you think that everyone would be able to pass through the barrier easily? Wouldn't that be a mess?" Manager Xia said arrogantly. So that's the case. Our MO family is really powerful. We actually have such a treasure. I can't wait to see father. If he sees me, he might even reward me with this treasure." Yun Chujio's eyes flashed with blue light as she said. Manager Xia snorted coldly, thinking that this country bumpkin's skin was really thick. He hadn't even acknowledged his ancestors yet, and he was already thinking about the MO family's heirloom. He didn't even consider his own weight. You really dare to say it. The MO family's heirloom would be given to you. Even if he really gave it to you, he would give it to second miss, all right. Moreover, the head of the family heirloom did not have the final say. Manager Xia handed Yun Chujio a few waterproof beads. "Eldest miss, you just have to follow behind me. You don't have to worry about the rest." Yun Chujio took the waterproof beads and nodded with a timid look. The contempt in Manager Xia's heart grew even more. In her heart, Yun Chujio was completely a cowardly and vain country bumpkin. Everyone jumped into the sea, and Yun Chujio was surrounded by everyone. On one hand, it was to protect her, and on the other hand, it was to monitor her. After swimming for almost an hour, Yun Chujio saw a huge whirlpool in front of her. There were no sea beasts around, not even seaweed. It was obvious that this whirlpool was very dangerous. At this time, Manager Xia took out a small bell from her storage ring. Yun Chujio could not help but wonder, what was this small bell used for? Manager Xia's hands continuously formed seals, and the small bell grew bigger and bigger. Only then did Yun Chujio realize that this was not a small bell at all, but a big bell. Manager Xia pointed at the big bell with her hand, gesturing for Yun Chujio to follow her. Although Yun Chujio was puzzled, she still followed Manager Xia into the big bell. Only then did she realize that there were some chains hanging down inside the big bell. Manager Xia gestured for Yun Chujio to pull one of the chains. Only then did Yun Chujio realize that this was how the big bell was used. It was really strange. Manager Xia tied a rope around Yun Chujio's waist and tied it to the other chain. Apparently, he was afraid that Yun Chujio's spiritual power would not be able to pull the chain. Yun Chujio cherished her life the most. Naturally, she would not object. She wished that she could tie a few more chains. The big bell was very huge. Almost 30 people came in, but it was not crowded at all. After Manager Xia formed another seal, she quickly grabbed the iron chain, and the big bell rushed into the whirlpool. Yun Chujio found that the big bell was good everywhere, but there was a fatal flaw. The sound of the water hitting the bell was too loud. It was so loud that her ears were buzzing. After almost 4 hours, the sound of the water gradually became softer. Yun Chujio knew that they were about to pass through the whirlpool. This guy was slightly relieved. The situation of this barrier was indeed similar to what the pretty boy had said. If they were not forced to, the people of the immortal Yuan continent would not take the risk to go to the Tian Yuan continent. If they were not careful, their lives would be at stake. Manager Xia was the first to release the iron chain, and everyone else also released the iron chain in their hands. The two maids also untied the rope around Yun Chujio's waist. After Manager Xia formed a seal, she put away the big bell. After everyone emerged from the water, Manager Xia called out another big ship, and everyone jumped onto the big ship one after another. Yun Chujio pondered in her heart. She reckoned that this sea area was forbidden from flying. Otherwise, using a flying spirit tool would be much faster than taking a ship. Yun Chujio felt that the spiritual energy here was indeed much denser than in the Tianyuan continent. She reckoned that the spiritual energy would become denser on land. No wonder the people here had such superb spiritual energy. The group sailed on the sea for half a month. They even met some sea beasts in the middle. They were all species that Yun Chujio had never seen before. One look and one could tell that their spiritual energy level was very high. These sea beasts were very fierce. Manager Xia and the others lost almost half of their men before they managed to escape. Yun Chujio could not help but feel a little puzzled. This trip to the Tianyuan continent was quite torturous, and it was very dangerous. The Mo family had spent so much effort, so why did they want to find her? Yun Chujio snorted coldly in her heart. In short, it was definitely not because of family ties. She wanted to see what they were going to do after going through so much trouble. However, since the journey was so dangerous, they would definitely not easily go looking for trouble with her grandfather and the others. As long as she did not touch their bottom line, she could completely play tricks on them. Mo residents, your good days were about to come. Finally, they saw land from afar. Manager Xia and the others heaved a sigh of relief. They had finally returned safely. After everyone went ashore, they flew on the flying spirit tool for nearly a month before they arrived at Jinchuan City, where the Mo family was located. After the flying spirit tool landed, Yun Chujio followed Manager Xia and the others into Jinchuan City. Yun Chujio looked around curiously. Jinchuan City was very prosperous, and it looked very big. It was probably one of the larger cities in the Western continent. Some pedestrians on the way saw Manager Xia and the others and consciously avoided them. Yun Chujio's eyes flashed. It seemed that the Mo residents should be quite powerful in Jinchuan City. However, there were also some people who only nodded when they saw Manager Xia and the others. They even gave Yun Chujio a veiled glance. Dong Qing saw that Yun Chujio looked like she had never seen the world before. She could not help but snort coldly. Eldest Miss, you are no longer a person from the lower realm. You are now representing the Mo family's face. I hope you can put away your petty attitude. Yun Chujio turned her head and smiled at Dong Qing. Dong Qing was stunned by Yun Chujio's smile. Then she felt a sense of uneasiness in her heart. Why did this country bumpkin feel like a different person? Yun Chujio raised her voice and said clearly, Dong Qing, you are right. Since I am the eldest miss of the Mo family, there is a difference between master and servant. In the future, you must address me respectfully. Otherwise, I will not be polite. Dong Qing thought she had heard wrong and could not help but be stunned. What did you say? But Yun Chujio waved her hand and slapped Dong Qing. Impudent. Is this the way you speak to your master? Although Dong Qing's spiritual power was much higher than Yun Chujio's, she had never dreamed that Yun Chujio would suddenly attack. Therefore, the slap was firm, and the left side of her face immediately swelled up. Bitch! How dare you hit me? Dong Qing raised her hand as she spoke, wanting to hit Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio jumped several feet away in an instant. She shouted loudly, Manager Xia, are the servants of our Mo residents so unruly? Not only did they insult our master, they even wanted to hit our master. In that case, I might as well stay in the Tianyuan continent. I didn't expect that being recognized by you would make me suffer. All of this happened very quickly. Manager Xia did not have the time to stop her at all. Yun Chujio's shout immediately attracted the attention of many people. Some of the forces that were on par with the Mo residents were very curious about Yun Chujio's identity. Now, they naturally would not let go of such a good opportunity. They all stopped to watch. Manager Xia was caught off guard by Yun Chujio. Although he was very surprised that this country bumpkin suddenly became bold, on the streets, the Mo residents' face was naturally the most important thing. Thus, he said to Dong Qing, How dare you? Hurry up and apologize to Miss. Miss, let's go back to the Mo residence first. The master and madam are still waiting for you. What about you? Manager Xia was afraid that Yun Chujio would find fault again, so she changed you to you. Only then did Yun Chujio let out a long sigh. Manager Xia, I'm relieved to hear that. I thought my father brought me back to abuse me. Dong Qing, what are you waiting for? Do you want me to apologize to you? Dong Qing covered her swollen left cheek with her hands. She was so angry that her eyes were burning. She did not know why the situation had suddenly become like this. Why had the country bumpkin, who had been submissive all along, suddenly changed his attitude? The worst thing was that Manager Xia had actually spoken up for her. He had actually asked her to apologize to the country bumpkin. Manager Xia saw that there were more and more people around and said unhappily, "Dong Qing, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and apologize to Miss." Dong Qing had no choice but to swallow her anger and say, "Miss, this servant misspoke for a moment. Please forgive me. Ichimich, I will be the Mo family's miss from now on. Even if Fang Hua sees me, she will still have to respectfully call me big sister. So you, as well as all of you, have to be more respectful in the future. Otherwise, I will find father to complain and kill all of you." Yun Chujio said arrogantly. Manager Xia immediately understood Yun Chujia's intention. Was this country bumpkin trying to establish his authority? He was really naive. "I will first trick you into entering the Mo residence. At that time, you will know what kind of status you have as the eldest miss." Just as Manager Xia was thinking about it, she heard Yun Chujio loudly shout, "Everyone, you may not know me. I am the eldest miss of the Mo residence. Speaking of which, my background is really a heartache that makes people cry. I don't know what kind of shameless person set me up since I was young, but I was reduced to a low-class continent when I was just born. Needless to say, I've suffered a lot. Fortunately, the bitterness finally came to an end. My father sent someone to bring me back. I heard that the Mo residence is one of the top families in Jinchuan City. Needless to say, my father is a vicious tiger that doesn't eat its own son. He probably treats me well. As for my father's step-in-law, he was probably very reasonable. He probably wouldn't poison me, disfigure me, or punish me by kneeling. However, this person's heart is filled with ulterior motives. If I don't come out in a few days, he'll be killed by someone. I don't expect you to avenge me. It's just that when the time comes, you'll see how pitiful I am and burn 2 pieces of paper money for me. You'll be satisfied." Yun Chujia's voice was quite loud at the beginning. Later on, as she spoke, she wiped her tears away. Her voice became choked with sobs, and some of the soft-hearted people couldn't help but sigh. "Tsk, I've long heard that the eldest daughter of the Mo family has gone missing. I didn't expect that she would really be found. Could I have mistaken her for someone else? I've seen the original Mrs. Yi once. This eldest daughter looks exactly like her mother. There's definitely no mistaking her. Besides, can the Mo residents randomly identify people? This young miss looks like she doesn't have much of a heart. I reckon that she won't have an easy life in the Mo residence. It can't be? I heard that Mrs. Luo is virtuous and virtuous. She shouldn't be too harsh on this young miss. Tsk, who knows? However, this young miss' spiritual power is also quite low. I reckon that her aptitude must be very poor. It's impossible for the Mo family head to dote on her too much. Young miss, it's getting late. Master and Madam are still waiting for you. Let's go quickly." Manager Xia did not expect the situation to go out of control in an instant. Yun Chujio spoke extremely fast and she did not have the time to interrupt. She was so angry that her head buzzed. She would definitely be scolded by Madam when she went back. Yun Chujio felt that the public opinion was more or less spread. After a few more whimpers, she said, "Manager Xia, I was really in a hurry when I came. I didn't bring any gifts for father, second aunt, younger brother and sister. This is really too impolite. Let's go and pick some gifts before returning to the manor." This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Second aunt? Manager Xia staggered. This country bumpkin really dared to say that. The most taboo thing for the madam was these 3 words. This country bumpkin was always bringing up the wrong topic. Later, before entering the manor, she had to remind her again. Otherwise, the madam would definitely vent her anger on her. "Eldest miss, there's no need to buy a gift. Let's hurry back to the manor," Manager Xia hurriedly said, afraid that Yun Chujio would cause any more trouble. Manager Xia, what you said is wrong. I came all the way here, how can I have 2 empty claws? Besides, how long can I waste to buy a gift? I've waited for 17 years, and I still need such a short time? Or are you sincere in wanting to make a fool of me? Yun Chujio said unhappily. Manager Xia wanted to sew up Yun Chujio's mouth and take her back to the MO residence. However, there were so many people watching in public, and there were forces fighting openly and secretly with the MO residents. It would be bad if the rumors were to spread. Manager Xia had no choice but to say, since the eldest miss insists on it, then well, do as you say. There are all kinds of shops not far ahead. That's right. Let's go. It'll definitely help father and the others pick some good things. After saying that, Yun Chujio cheerfully hopped forward. Manager Xia gritted her teeth and motioned for everyone to follow. Dong Qing covered her cheeks and moved closer to Manager Xia. She lowered her voice and said, Manager Xia, are you going to let this country bumpkin be so arrogant? Manager Xia snorted coldly. When we get to the residence, there will naturally be people who will deal with her. That's right. She's a country bumpkin to begin with. Does she really think that she can become a phoenix just by flying on a branch? She's such a big girl, yet she's still jumping around. She really doesn't have any rules, Dong Qing said disdainfully. All right, let's not talk about this anymore. We don't want to be exposed, Manager Xia said coldly. Dong Qing didn't dare to say anything more. She retreated to the back, but in her heart, she hated Yun Chujio. Country bumpkin, just you wait. Not long after they walked out, Yun Chujio saw a silk store. She jumped in with a smile. Manager, bring out all the good clothes you have here. I want to choose a few good clothes for my father and the others. The shopkeeper of the satin shop had already heard the story from the people who were watching the show. Although he was not sure if Yun Chujio had money, he still said politely, I want to buy some clothes for my father and the others. Miss Mo, the clothes hanging here are all top-quality clothes. Not only are they very comfortable to wear, but they also have a certain degree of defensive function. They are also waterproof and fireproof. The styles are also the most popular. Yun Chujio nodded. You're right. I'm not short on money anyway. That, wrap them all up for me. The shopkeeper saw that Yun Chujio had ordered a total of 20 sets of clothes in one go. He was so happy that he could not close his mouth. He immediately ordered the staff in the shop to wrap the clothes that Yun Chujio wanted. Manager Xia, who was standing at the side, couldn't help but twitch her lips. Did this country bumpkin think that the clothes in the immortal Yuan continent were the same price as those in the countryside? Let's see what happens if she can't pay the bill later. Miss Mo, a total of 3,083,200 upper-grade spirit stones. I'll give you a small change. You can just give me 3,080,000, the manager said ingratiatingly. Only 3,080,000? The clothes you have here are really good and cheap. Not bad, not bad. Thank you for your praise. You're welcome to come often in the future. Seeing Yun Chujio's words, the shopkeeper felt that although this miss was from a low-grade continent, she was still quite generous. Manager Xia, what are you waiting for? Pay up? Don't tell me you want me to pay up. Manager, ask her for money. They'll go to other shops. Yun Chujio put her clothes into her storage ring and hopped out. Manager Xia. The manager of the satin shop. The onlookers. Oh my God. There was such a shameless person in this world. You gave a gift to others, but you didn't pay for it yourself? What kind of gift was this? The manager of the satin shop was the first to wake up. He was afraid that Manager Xia would run away, so he blocked the door and said, Manager Xia, the eldest daughter of the Mo family said that you should pay for it. In that case, please go ahead. Manager Xia's heart was like a dog that was bickering. However, under the watchful eyes of everyone, she couldn't go back on her word. Thus, she could only use her savings to pay the bill. Manager Xia had just finished paying the bill with her heart aching. She saw a fatty running over hurriedly. Manager Xia, the eldest daughter of the Mo family, has just bought 10 sets of jewelry in our jewelry shop. A total of 5 million high-grade spirit stones. Eldest daughter of the Mo family said that she is looking for you to take the money. Manager Xia's head buzzed. The 3,080,000 spirit stones just now had already been the majority of her savings. How could she still have 5 million to pay the bill? However, she couldn't possibly not pay the bill. Manager Xia gritted her teeth and could only say, "Manager, I'll give you my identity jade token. Wait until I return to the Mo residence to take the money, then I'll redeem my identity jade token." The chubby manager's small eyes rolled around. Since the Mo residence was so big, it wouldn't go back on its word. Thus, he smiled and said, "Since you have Manager Xia's token, it's naturally fine. Then, I'll wait for you to redeem it with spirit stones." Just as the chubby manager finished speaking, another old man ran over. Manager Xia, the eldest miss of your Mo residence just bought 15 high-grade spirit tools and 1 low-grade immortal tool from our equipment store. It's a total of 8 million high-grade spirit stones. Eldest Miss Mo said she's looking for you to collect the money. Just as the old man finished speaking, another middle-aged woman ran over. Manager Xia, the eldest daughter of your Mo residence just bought 200 talismans from our grocery store. It's a total of 5 million high-grade spirit stones. Eldest daughter Mo said that she's looking for you to take the money. Manager Xia almost collapsed to the ground. She couldn't be bothered with these people. She shouted at the secret guards, "What are you all standing there for? Hurry up and get that dirt back, eldest daughter." Manager Xia felt that if this continued, this country bumpkin would destroy all of Mo Mansion's assets. "Manager Xia, you're looking for me." "Perfect, I just bought a bunch of food and haven't paid for it yet. You can pay for it too." Yun Chujio held a spirit fruit in her hand and munched happily. Manager Xia was so angry that she almost passed out. It took her a long time to recover. She squeezed out a few words from between her teeth. "Miss, if you want to give gifts to the masters, 1 or 2 will be enough. Please return the extra items." Yun Chujio said unhappily, "Manager Xia, what are you talking about? The more gifts you give, the better. Only then can it represent my sincerity. Moreover, this sum is only about 20 million. I have already saved so much that I cannot save any more. Our Mo residence is a big business. How can we still lack the spiritual stones that I spent?" Manager Xia was so angry that she was trembling. "You really dare to say that? Just around 20 million? No matter how rich the Mo residence was, they wouldn't spend it in such a manner. Moreover, what right did a country bumpkin like you have to spend so much money?" This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Eldest Miss, although your intentions are good, our Mo residence has always been thrifty. It's not good for you to spend so much. It's better to return some of it. Manager Xia could not care less about losing face. In short, she had to return the item first. Otherwise, Mrs. Luo would skin her alive if she returned. Once the goods are sold, there is no reason to return them. Don't you agree? Yun Chujio turned around and asked the few shopkeepers. The few shopkeepers would not be able to meet such a big customer in a year. Naturally, they were not willing to let such a big customer go. All of them agreed, "That's right. If this thing is sold, how can it be returned? If it's like this, we don't have to do this business anymore." Manager Xia, your Mo residence is so big and rich, yet you still lack so little money? Could it really be like what Miss Mo said when you brought her back, you were torturing her? Manager Xia was ridiculed by everyone until her face turned red and her ears turned red. She weighed the pros and cons in her heart. She gritted her teeth. "All right, since Miss Mo has already bought the thing, our Mo residence will naturally not default on the debt. After I return to the Mo residence, I will definitely send someone over to deliver the money to everyone." Yun Chujio said leisurely from the side, "Manager Xia, there's no proof of that. What if you're cheating? You'd better give them an IOU." Manager Xia was so angry that she was twitching. She gave them an IOU? Did she buy the items? Why did she have to give them an IOU? Those shopkeepers did not care whether the items were bought by Yun Chujio or not. As long as someone gave them an IOU, It would be fine. Moreover, in their opinion, Manager Xia was more secure than Yun Chujio, the eldest miss of the Mo family who had just arrived. Manager Xia had no choice but to grit her teeth and write an IOU for everyone. Manager Xia, and this snack shop, I owe 50,000 high-grade spirit stones. This is a small business, so don't write an IOU, just pay. Yun Chujio said with a smile. Manager Xia was so angry that she almost fainted. What? Buying a snack can cost 50,000 high-grade spirit stones. Did you just round up the things in the shop? Manager Xia gritted her teeth and paid the 50,000 spirit stones. With a stiff face, she said to Yun Chujio, "Miss, can we go back to the mansion this time?" Yun Chujio nodded with a smile. "Wait a little longer. I just ordered 10 tables of good banquet at Jiqing restaurant. It should be ready soon." Manager Xia staggered and almost collapsed on the ground. He almost shouted, "Miss, why did you order the banquet?" Yun Chujio looked at her as if she was an idiot. "Aren't you asking nonsense? You went through a lot of trouble to get me back. Doesn't my father have to celebrate? If I ordered the banquet tables, father would have saved a lot of trouble. Then there's no need to book 10 tables. With such a big happy event, want my father celebrate with the whole family? Some of his family and friends will naturally be invited to celebrate as well. If it weren't for the fact that Jiqing restaurant doesn't have so many good ingredients, I would have booked 20 tables." Manager Xia's head buzzed. Good ingredients? A good banquet at Jiqing restaurant would cost at least tens of thousands of high-grade spirit stones. If a country bumpkin ordered 10 tables at once, wouldn't that be hundreds of thousands? Just as Manager Xia was thinking. She saw the manager of Jiqing restaurant running over while panting. Miss Mo, this banquet will take a while to be ready. They'll send it to your residence later. These 10 tables will cost a total of 300,000 high-grade spirit stones. Look, this money? Yun Chujio pouted. Manager Xia is rich. You can ask her for it. Manager Xia's heart was like 100 divine beasts whizzing past her. She had money? Her coffin was already paying for this bumpkin. What money did she have? Manager Xia had no choice but to scrape together 300,000 high-grade spirit stones to give to the manager of Jiqing restaurant. "Miss, can we leave this time?" Manager Xia was afraid that another person would pop out to ask for money. This bumpkin was not an ordinary person who could squander. Yun Chujio nodded. "Originally, I wanted to visit other shops, but I was afraid that father and second aunt would wait for a long time. Let's call it a day. They'll come out again in a few days. Shopkeepers, we'll see each other later." In the eyes of those shopkeepers, Yun Chujio was a child of wealth. She was the glittering grandmother of the god of wealth. Each and every one of them said with incomparable sincerity, "Miss M, the door of our satin shop is always open to you. Miss Mo, our jewelry shop sincerely welcomes you to come often. Miss Mo, our equipment shop is waiting for you to come again. Miss Mo, our grocery shop is waiting for you to come at any time. Miss Mo, our snack shop will immediately stock up and strive to let you buy as much as you like next time." The shopkeeper of Jiqing restaurant was not willing to be outdone. His old face was smiling like a flower. "Miss Mo, our restaurant is dedicated to serving you. We not only provide the canteen food, but also delivery service. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner can all be delivered to your door." "I wonder." Yun Chujio's eyes immediately lit up. Your service is very good. Give me the menu, I'll reserve it for 3 months first." Manager Xia wished he could shut Yun Chujio's mouth. He gritted his teeth and said, "Miss, our house has a big kitchen, there's no need for Ji Qingtang to deliver the food." Yun Chujio pursed her lips. "Manager, you heard it too. It's not that I'm uncertain, it's just that Manager Xia is afraid of spending money. Sigh, I can't help it who asked me to come back halfway. If Sister Fanghua wanted to eat it, she would definitely allow it. A child without a mother is like grass, sigh. Little cabbage, yellow in the ground." As Yun Chujio spoke, she started singing. That mournful tone and sorrowful lyrics instantly made many people's noses feel a little sour. Yun Chujio dropped 2 drops of crocodile tears and wiped them with her sleeve. She pretended to be strong and said, "Sigh, no matter what, life has to go on. I just came back and spent so much money. Do you think I'm a fool? Actually, I just wanted to send something to my second aunt and my younger brothers and sisters. Otherwise, how would I be able to survive in the MO residence? I didn't expect that in the end. I couldn't even order my own favorite food. Forget it, it's my fault for not being favored. I'd better not return to the MO residence, I'll just wait and see." After saying that, Yun Chujio covered her face and rushed out of the crowd, looking extremely heartbroken. The crowd couldn't help but point at Manager Xia. This Manager Xia is really something. He actually made Miss Mo cry. Exactly. Who doesn't know that the Mo family is rich? Miss Mo won't even let us order food. I think that Miss Mo's life in the Mo family isn't easy. That's right, Manager Xia is just a servant, yet she dares to speak to Miss Mo like this. It shows how low Miss Mo's status is. Manager Xia was so angry that she gnashed her teeth. She wished that she could sew these gossipy mouths shut. However, the law did not punish the masses. Not to mention that there were some here that she could not afford to offend. She could only turn angry from embarrassment and say to her subordinates, "What are you still standing there for? Hurry up and chase Miss Mo back." Yun Chujio naturally wouldn't really run far away. She was just putting on an act. Life was like a play, it all depended on acting. Up until now, this fellow was still very satisfied with her performance. This torment was simply like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Firstly, it made the Mo residence's heart ache. Moreover, her small warehouse had suddenly become much more abundant. Second, now that everyone in Jinchuan City knew that the eldest daughter of the Mo family had returned, if the Mo family wanted to kill her quietly, they would have to think twice. Third, they could also use this to test the bottom line of the Mo family head and Mrs. Luo. Fourth, this person had preconceived ideas. Now, everyone in Jinchuan City thought that not only was the eldest daughter of the Mo family pitiful, but she was also not favored. Even if she did something out of the ordinary in the future, these people would not think that she was the one who was at fault. If she bought things herself, others would pay the bill, but she could also win the sympathy of others. This was simply a must-have move for a White Lotus. When it came to this fellow, it was a must-have move for a Black Lotus. After Yun Chujio activated the Black Lotus skill, she felt refreshed and refreshed. Therefore, she did not continue to torment Manager Xia, but followed Manager Xia and the others to the Mo residence. Compared to Yun Chujio, who felt refreshed, Manager Xia was suffering in her heart. This country bumpkin had spent more than 20 million high-grade spirit stones. How was she going to explain this to her wife? Finally, everyone came to the entrance of a tall mansion. The words Mo residence were written on it. Yun Chujio saw that the main door of the Mo residence was not opened. It was only a small side door. She could not help but complain in her heart. How could she use such a cliché trick? If you have the ability, you can make a dog hole for me to crawl through. Eldest miss, please. Manager Xia hated Yun Chujio to death right now and could not wait for her to make a fool of herself. The main door is not open. How can I enter? Do you think I have wings? Yun Chujio said faintly. Eldest miss, although the main door is not open, this side door is open. This main door will only be opened when an honorable person arrives or when there is a joyous occasion, so let's go in through the side door, Manager Xia said with a fake smile. You, a country bumpkin, really take yourself seriously? Manager Xia felt that Yun Chujio must be ashamed after hearing her words, so she compromised and went in through the side door with her. However, she obviously didn't know that there was a kind of person who didn't follow common sense in this world. Yun Chujio glanced at her, she curled her lips and said, Manager Xia, are you mocking me for not being a proper master? I am the dignified eldest daughter of the Mo family. Could it be that the master of the Mo family is a worthless slut? So they are not worthy of entering through the main door? Cold sweat broke out on Manager Xia's forehead. She hurriedly explained, No, I didn't mean that. The masters are naturally all honorable. Since they are all honorable, why don't you open the main door? Do you think that I, the eldest daughter, am the only one who is not honorable? Manager Xia was at a loss because of Yun Chujia's aggressive question. However, the madam had given a strict order that this country bumpkin must enter through the side door. What should she do? Dong Qing hated Yun Chujio to death. She felt that it was her chance to take revenge, so she came over and said, Manager Xia, have you forgotten? Wasn't there a problem with the lock on the main door a few days ago? That's why the main door can't be used now. Manager Xia was worried that he wouldn't have an excuse. Hearing Dong Qing's words, he couldn't help but look at her with admiration. Then, he said helplessly, Miss, did you hear that? The lock on the main door is broken, so we can only use the side door. Yun Chujio curled her lips. Is this gate really broken? Missy, it's absolutely true. This gate is really broken. Manager Xia said with certainty. Could it be that you can find someone to verify it? Moreover, even if you were to find someone, would there still be anyone who would speak up for you? At this moment, a lot of onlookers had gathered outside the MO residence. It was human nature to like to join in the fun, so there would be onlookers everywhere. The onlookers were well aware of the situation. It seemed that the MO residents wanted to give Miss Mo a show of force. Once they entered through the side door, Miss Mo's life in the MO residence would be terrible in the future. What Miss Mo said is true. The MO residence really doesn't like her. TSK, is there a need to say that? Miss Mo's mother, Madame Yun, has long died. Now that Madame Luo is the second aunt, she naturally doesn't like Miss Mo. According to what you said, Lady Mo is the daughter of the first wife. Doesn't that mean that second Lady Mo is the daughter of a concubine? That's right, this Lady Mo is the real daughter of the first wife. Therefore, when she returns, second Lady Mo will definitely be unhappy and will naturally make things difficult for her. However, this Lady Mo is alone and her spiritual power is still so low. She can only enter through the side door unless she doesn't want to acknowledge her ancestors. While everyone was whispering, they heard Yun Chujio raise her voice and said, Manager Xia, let me ask you again. Is this gate really broken? Manager Xia snorted. She said impatiently, Miss, this gate is really broken. It's impossible to open it. Let's hurry and enter through the side door. The master, madam, and all the young masters are still waiting. Yun Chujio ignored her. Instead, she said to the onlookers, Please bear witness for me. Manager Xia just said that this gate is completely broken. Did you all hear that? The onlookers were never afraid of big things. They clamored, Miss and we all heard it with absolute certainty. Yes, Manager Xia said it several times just now. This gate of the Mo residence is indeed broken. Both Manager Xia and the onlookers were puzzled. What did Miss Mo mean by emphasizing that the gate was broken? Could it be that she was looking for a way out? Could it be that it was not because she was not of noble status but because the gate was broken? Just as everyone was puzzled, they saw Yun Chujio smiling brightly at Manager Xia. Manager Xia had an ominous feeling in her heart. Previously, after this country bumpkin smiled at Dong Qing, he had given Dong Qing a slap. Could it be that he wanted to give her a slap this time? Thinking of this, Manager Xia subconsciously took a few steps back. Afraid that Yun Chujio would fly into a rage, unexpectedly, Yun Chujio took out a stack of talismans from her storage ring. Manager Xia, since this door is broken, then destroy it. If the old won't go and the new won't come, then let's make some noise and liven things up. As Yun Chujio said that, she threw the stack of talismans towards the Mo residence's main door. Boom, boom, boom. The loud explosion made people's ears ring. Yun Chujio threw a stack of talismans that suddenly cracked. Not to mention the Mo residence's main door, even the surrounding walls were blasted into ruins. Everyone was stunned. Blowing up the main door at the slightest disagreement? The person invited back by the Mo residence was not just a country bumpkin, he was a freaking jinx. Manager Xia was scared silly. Her mind was completely blank. She could not understand why the main gate had been blown up when they were clearly discussing whether they should take the side or the main gate. Yun Chujio giggled. Manager Xia, I used quite a few talismans in this explosion. However, since it was for the sake of our MO residents, so be it. I won't ask father for money anymore. Manager Xia felt that she might not live past today. A family's front door had been blown up by someone. It was simply a laughing stock. Most importantly, it was blown up by her own daughter. This was simply a miracle. Why did you blow up the door? The master and madam will not forgive you. Manager Xia did not care about honorifics anymore and directly questioned her angrily. Yun Chujio had a puzzled expression. Manager Xia, you won't have any friends doing things like this? Didn't you say that the door was completely broken? Since it was completely broken, why didn't you replace it and keep it for the new year? I'm a warm-hearted person, so I helped you blow up the door. You don't appreciate my kindness and still dare to question me? How can you be so thick-skinned? Yun Chujio turned around and asked the onlookers, Everyone, please give us an explanation. Did she say that the door was broken? I even asked her twice. The onlookers came back to their senses, their eyes shining with a strong light of gossip. They didn't know whether this Miss Mo was stupid or bold enough to blow up the mansion with just a word of disagreement. It was really exciting. It was really too exciting. Yes, Miss Mo is right. Manager Xia was the one who said that the door was completely broken. I can also prove that she was indeed the one who said it. Miss Mo did a great job. Anyway, the door is broken. It would save us the trouble of blowing it up. Only then did Manager Xia understand why Yun Chujio had repeatedly asked her if the door was broken. It turned out that it was all premeditated. Could it be that this country bumpkin actually had such deep thoughts? Manager Xia shook her head again. It couldn't be. How could a little girl from a lower continent have such meticulous thoughts? She was just a fool who didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Manager Xia, didn't you say that father and second aunt were waiting for me? Why are you still standing there? Let's go in now. If it were up to me, this door should have been blown up a long time ago. Look at how wide the view is. It's really relaxing. Relaxing my ass. Manager Xia was about to vomit blood from anger. Initially, she wanted to remind Yun Chujio not to address Mrs. Luo as second aunt. Now, she felt that it was better to let her directly anger Mrs. Luo. It was just the right time to teach her a lesson. This country bumpkin was really too arrogant. Manager Xia thought of this and said coldly, All right, please follow me, miss. Yun Chujio waved her hand at the onlookers. Everyone, I'm going in now. If my father really wants to ask about the door, you have to testify for me. Miss Mo, don't worry, we will tell the truth. Yes, Miss Mo, it can't be true, it can't be true. Manager Xia said that the gate was broken, we heard it. Miss Mo, don't worry. We have nothing to do, we will wait at the gate. If you need us to testify, just let us know. The onlookers wanted to follow Yun Chujio in to watch the show. This Miss Mo was so fierce, so it would be more exciting later. Unfortunately, they couldn't go in, but fortunately, the door was blown up, they could still hear some noise. Manager Xia was even more vexed when she saw these onlookers. She said to them, It's forbidden to gather outside the MO residence. All of you disperse. Someone sneered, Manager Xia, it's forbidden to gather outside the MO residence. It's a pity that your MO residence doesn't have a door anymore. What's stopping you from chatting on the street? That's right. Although your MO residence is powerful, you can't stop us from basking in the sun on the street, right? This MO residence is really overbearing. Why didn't Miss Mo blow up the entire MO residence? Manager Xia saw that the few people who were talking were from other powerful forces, so she could only suppress her anger and walk in. Yun Chujio followed behind her, looking around and strolling slowly. Although Manager Xia was furious, she was afraid that Yun Chujio would be foolish enough to come up again, so she didn't dare to urge her. At that moment, the masters in the MO residence were also shocked by the loud noise. Manager Xia said it nicely. She said that Mo Cheng, the head of the Mo family, and Luo Shi were waiting for Yun Chujio at home. In fact, no one treated Yun Chujio as a person. They were all busy with their own matters. When everyone heard the noise, they came to the living room to ask what had happened. Mo Cheng furrowed his brows tightly. His heart was filled with uncertainty. Could it be that someone had come to provoke him? Such a huge noise. Could it be that a talisman had been used? Very quickly, a guard came to report. That guard's expression was stiff as he said, reporting to family head, the noise just now was. Mo Cheng snorted coldly. What was it? Speak quickly. You can't even speak clearly. What a waste. The guard could only grit his teeth and say, it was the eldest miss who used the talisman to blow up the mansion. What the hell? Mo Cheng thought there was something wrong with his ears and raised his voice. Who do you think used the talisman to blow up the mansion? Yes, it was the eldest miss. It was the eldest miss that Manager Xia brought back. Mo Cheng took quite a while to digest this information, then he slapped the coffee table and said, how outrageous. Is this unfilial daughter trying to rebel? She just came back and actually blew up the mansion. Won't she blow up our Mo residence in a few days? A beautiful middle-aged woman sat beside Mo Cheng. It was Mrs. Luo, she said gently. Master, don't be angry. There might be some hidden reason behind this. Besides, Fang Chao has always lived in a low-level continent. It's understandable that she's reckless. Humph. No matter how reckless she is, she won't blow up her own family's mansion as soon as she comes back. I don't think she's reckless. She's deliberately showing off. Not only did Mo Cheng not calm down after hearing Madame Luo's words, he was even angrier. Madame Luo saw that Mo Cheng's expression was even more unsightly, and a trace of pride flashed in her eyes. This Mo Fangchao was really an idiot. She did such a stupid thing as soon as she came back. At first, she thought that she would bring some trouble. But now, it seemed that there was nothing to be afraid of. At this moment, a maid came in and reported, Master, Madam, Manager Xia requests to see you. Manager Xia had a very good plan in mind. She wanted to first go in and report the matter of Yun Chujio squandering more than 20 million spirit stones, and then let Yun Chujio go in. Unexpectedly, Mo Cheng was in a fit of anger. He angrily said, let that rebellious girl come in together. After the maid went out to speak, Manager Xia had no choice but to bring Yun Chujio into the living room. The moment Yun Chujio entered, several pairs of eyes fell on her. After seeing Yun Chujio's appearance, Mo Cheng's expression became even gloomier. He suddenly slapped the coffee table. Unfilial daughter. You blew up the manor as soon as you came back. How dare you? Lock this unfilial daughter into the woodshed. No one is allowed to bring food to her without my orders. Yun Chujio still had a little bit of hope in her heart. Perhaps her biological father was forced to do so, or perhaps he really did not find her whereabouts. That was why he did not find her after so many years. However, when she heard Mo Cheng say this, the little bit of hope in Yun Chujio's heart about her father's love was completely destroyed. Her lowered eyes were filled with coldness. When Yun Chujio raised her head again, tears fell down. Father, I didn't expect that the first thing you said to me was to scold me and lock me in the woodshed. If that's the case, why did you look for me to come back? There was no trace of pity on Mo Cheng's face. Instead, he said with a bit of disgust, why did I look for you? Do you think I wanted to look for you to come back? A rebellious daughter like you shouldn't have come back. Mrs. Luo tugged at Mo Cheng's sleeve. She said gently, Fang Chao, your father is in a fit of anger, so his words are inevitably a bit extreme. However, why did you blow up the manor gate all of a sudden? Could it be that you resent me and Master for not finding you in time? Yun Chujio sneered repeatedly in her heart. What an old white lotus. This skill was much stronger than Lan Luchen's mother. It was not an easy character to deal with. Second aunt, you don't know. Manager Xia said that the main door was broken and insisted that I enter through the side door. I asked her again and again, but she insisted that the main door was broken. I thought, Since the main door was broken, then I should blow it up and replace it with a new one. So I used a talisman to blow up the main door. Did I do something wrong? This wasted a lot of my talismans. I was originally poor. Now I'm even poorer. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes and said with an aggrieved look. Madame Luo's expression immediately darkened when she heard Yun Chujio call her second aunt, but she quickly returned to normal. When Mo Cheng heard Yun Chujio say this, he was so angry that he fiercely slapped the coffee table again. Nonsense! I told you to come in through the side door, then come in through the side door. Does the main door need you to act recklessly if it's not bad? Father, what you said is wrong. Manager Xia said that only lowly people can come in through the side door. I'm your daughter. If I'm a slut, then aren't you an old slut? Yun Chujio said angrily. Impudent. You unfilial daughter. Tie her up. Lock her in the woodshed immediately. Mo Cheng was so angry that his face was livid and his hands were trembling. The pink-dressed girl sitting at the lower seat could not help but gloat. This country bumpkin was really a fool. He actually dared to call her father an old slut. There must be something wrong with her brain. When the pink-dressed girl thought of this, she whispered to a red-dressed girl beside her, trying to please her, "Sister, this country bumpkin is really stupid." The red-dressed girl's expression was arrogant, but she just curled her lips and did not say anything. The pink-dressed girl could only shut her mouth embarrassedly and curse in her heart. HMH, what's so great about being arrogant? Now that the country bumpkin has come, you are the second miss. If we were to talk about it, the country bumpkin is the legitimate daughter. You are a concubine's daughter like me, what's there to be proud of? After hearing Mo Cheng's words, two old women walked in from outside, wanting to kidnap Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio said in puzzlement, "Father, I'm stating the truth. Why are you so angry? All right, I can see that you don't care about me at all. You don't have to lock me up in the woodshed. I heard that my mother has already died and I can't return to the Tianyuan continent. Since that's the case, there's no point for me to live anymore. I might as well just die." This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. After saying that, Yun Chujio rushed out of the room. No one expected her to do something like that. They were not prepared at all. The two old ladies looked confused. What happened? Yun Chujio ran outside and shouted, "I'm not going to live. I'm not going to live. I'm not going to live." As soon as I came back, my father locked me in the woodshed and starved me to death. I'm going to find a crooked tree and hang myself to death. Once I'm dead, you'll be able to see my mother. Mo Cheng smashed the coffee table with one palm. What are you guys standing there for? Hurry up and bring that unfilial daughter back to me. I'm so angry. I'm so angry. When that old woman heard Mo Cheng's words, she quickly chased after him. Although they were rough women, their spiritual power was only at the 5th level of the spiritual venerable realm. They did not put Yun Chujio, who was at the 2nd level of the spiritual venerable realm, in their eyes at all. However, the two old women couldn't catch up with Yun Chujio. They just watched Yun Chujio rush out of the main gate. Well, the main gate was already gone. In short, she rushed out of the mansion. The onlookers were all waiting anxiously. Seeing Yun Chujio run out crying and howling, the flames of gossip immediately burned fiercely again. Miss Mo, don't cry. What happened? Yun Chujio was crying her heart out. She was heartbroken. Sob, everyone, I shouldn't have returned to the Mo residence. When my father saw me, not only did he not ask me if I had been wronged for the past 17 years, he even scolded me. He said that I was an unfilial daughter and that I shouldn't have been brought back. I felt that he was angry because I blew up the residence, so I explained it in detail. I didn't expect him to actually say that I was only fit to enter the residence through the side door. He even tied me up and locked me in the woodshed to starve me to death. I originally thought that this was my home, but now that I looked at this place, it was clearly a den of dragons and tigers. It was a place where people were eaten. I can't go back to the Tianyuan continent now, and my mother is dead. What's the point of me living? So I'm going to find a crooked tree and hang myself on it. But that tree is not bad. I'll hang myself on that tree. This way, my ghost will be able to return to the mansion from time to time. After all, this is also my home, sobbed. As Yunchujio spoke, she ran towards a crooked tree. As she cried, she took out a rope and hung it on the tree branch. She looked like she was going to hang herself. Of course, the bystanders could not just sit by and do nothing. One after another, they tried to persuade her, Miss Mo, there must be a way to resolve this matter. You can't be rash. Miss Mo, if there's something to discuss, we can discuss it. Master Mo might be speaking out of anger. Even a tiger would not eat its own child. He can't really starve you to death. Miss Mo, a person's life only comes once. You have to cherish it. Yun Chujio seemed to be moved by the crowd's persuasion, so she was a little hesitant. When the onlookers saw this, they immediately began to persuade her with more sincerity. Although the two women from the Mo residence had the intention to capture Yun Chujio back, they didn't dare to act rashly because there were so many people outside. Thus, one of the women quickly returned to the living room. Master, madam, the eldest miss is preparing to hang herself outside the residence. There are many people outside watching the commotion. This old servant does not dare to make a decision. The old lady explained the situation outside to Mo Cheng. Mo Cheng stood up in anger. This unfilial daughter. She really pisses me off. Such an unfilial daughter should be killed with a sword to prevent her from causing trouble again. This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Madame Luo rebuked, Master, you are always so impatient. Feng Chao is not sensible, just teach her slowly. We have gone through so much to bring her back, we cannot let her die just like that. Hearing Madame Luo's words, Mo Cheng remembered the purpose of bringing Yun Chujio back. His expression softened a little. Chao Yun, what you said makes sense. It's just that this unfilial daughter really doesn't have any rules. Forget it. It's better to be out of sight than out of mind. I'll leave this unfilial daughter to you to deal with. After saying that, Mo Cheng flung his sleeves and returned to the study room. A smug look flashed across Madame Luo's eyes. It seemed that her husband did not have any feelings for this Feng Chao as a father and daughter. However, this country bumpkin still had a great use for her. He could not let her die just like that. He still had to coax her back first. When Madame Luo thought of this, she said to the two girls, Fenghua, Fanqin, follow me and persuade your elder sister to come back. The red-clothed girl was Madame Luo's biological daughter, Mo Fenghua. When she heard Madame Luo say this, she could not help but frown. Mother, you can go by yourself. I'm going back to cultivate. After saying this, Mo Fenghua did not care whether Madame Luo agreed or not and directly left. Madame Luo rebuked, this girl only knows how to cultivate all day long. Mother, elder sister has always been diligent and hardworking. I'm really much worse than elder sister. Not only is Tianzi inferior to elder sister, but she's also always slacking off. Serves me right for not being able to increase my spiritual power. The pink-clothed girl Mo Fengqin said in a flattering manner. Madame Luo glanced at her. Your spiritual power level is considered not bad. You've seen it too. That Feng Keo's spiritual power is only at the second level of the Supreme Spirit realm. In the future, you must also frequently urge her to cultivate. Yes, I will listen to your arrangements. In the future, I will visit her courtyard often. Although Mo Fengqin's spiritual power level was not as high as Mo Fenghua's, her mind was very active. She understood that Madame Luo was asking her to monitor Yun Chujio. Madame Luo nodded in satisfaction. Let's go. Follow me to persuade Feng Chao to come back. Mo Fengqin heaved a sigh of relief in her heart. She thought to herself that after this idiot Mo Fengqin came back, she would probably have a better life. All she needed to do was to draw Madame Luo's attention to that idiot. When Madame Luo and Mo Fengqin arrived outside the residence, the onlookers were trying their best to persuade Yun Chujio. Fengqin, what are you doing? Madame Luo's face was full of worry. Yun Chujio wiped her tears. I am not going back. Father said that he would lock me in the woodshed and starve me to death. Your father's words were just out of anger. The moment you came back, he blew up the residence, so your father's words were a little impatient. I've already persuaded your father just now. The matter of you blowing up the residence is over. Hurry up and follow me in. You've traveled a long way. You should also have a good rest. Madame Luo's tone softened. She spoke with a motherly manner. Yun Chujio shook her head. You're lying. Father won't forgive me at all. Father's appearance is so scary. It's as if he wants to kill me. You child, a tiger won't eat its own son. How could your father want to kill you? Besides, you've suffered so much before. Even if you did something else, your father and I won't blame you, let alone blowing up the mansion, Madame Luo said hypocritically. Her words were naturally meant for the onlookers, in order to gain a good reputation. Hearing Yun Chujio's words, a faint light flashed in Yun Chujio's eyes. She said aggrievedly, Second aunt, is what you said true? No matter what I did, you and my father won't blame me? This chapter is a preview. If you want to see a faster and more up-to-date chapter, please visit for more content. Madame Luo felt that although this country bumpkin had blown up the mansion, he would be right under her nose in the future. Naturally, he wouldn't be able to cause any more trouble. Thus, Madame Luo said with a loving expression, You child, no matter what you've done, your father and I will naturally not blame you. Manager Xia's heart skipped a beat. She did not have the time to report to Madame Luo that Yun Chujio had harmed more than 20 million high-grade spirit stones. If Madame Luo found out later, she would probably explode in anger. Thinking of this, Manager Xia moved to Madame Luo's side and whispered, Madam, this servant has something to report to you. We'll talk when we return to the manor. Can't you see that I'm busy? Madame Luo frowned. This Manager Xia usually handled matters very well. Why did she have to handle the wrong things one after another today? Was there anything more important than persuading this country bumpkin to return to the manor? Manager Xia didn't dare to say anything more, but the sweat on her forehead started to appear, and her heart was in turmoil. Her heart was in turmoil, but Yun Chujio's heart was bursting with joy, but her face had a timid expression. Second aunt, is what you said true? No matter what happens, you and father won't be angry? You won't punish me? Although Mrs. Luo was impatient in her heart, she still had a loving expression on her face. Of course it's true. We won't scold you no matter what happens. Hurry up and follow me back to the residence. When Yun Chujio heard what Mrs. Luo said, she quickly took the rope from the tree branch and put it into her storage ring. She jumped in front of Mrs. Luo and said, Second aunt, I'm relieved with your words. Yun Chujio said to the onlookers, Everyone, did you hear what second aunt said? If you don't see me coming out these few days, I'm afraid that I'll either be put under house arrest or killed. You have to uphold justice for me. The onlookers shouted one after another, Miss Imo, don't worry. We're all listening. Madame Luo promised not to punish you. If she doesn't keep her word, we'll make the matter public. That's right, even a vicious tiger won't eat its own child. If family head Mo really killed Miss Mo, well, definitely let him suffer the condemnation of public opinion. Miss N, if you're really killed, well, come and pay our respects to you on our own accord. Madame Luo finally managed to suppress the anger in her heart with much difficulty. Were these people full of themselves? Also, it was really strange. This country bumpkin had only just arrived in Jinchuan City. Why did these people seem to be very familiar with her? Just as Mrs. Luo was puzzled, she saw the manager of Jiqing restaurant running over while panting. Miss Imo, I've brought the banquet you ordered. Yun Chujio nodded with a smile. You've come at the right time. It's about time for dinner. Mrs. Luo was confused. A country bumpkin ordered a banquet? What kind of banquet did she order? However, Mrs. Luo didn't ask too much because of her status. The manager of Jiqing restaurant handed Yun Chujio a storage ring and said in a flattering manner, Miss Mo, this is a 10-table banquet. I'll give you this storage ring and the food box inside. 10 good banquet tables? Madame Luo was even more confused. Why did this country bumpkin order so many tables for a banquet? Moreover, a good banquet table in Jiqing restaurant costs tens of thousands of high-grade spirit stones, and these 10 tables cost hundreds of thousands of high-grade spirit stones. Was this country bumpkin so rich? You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.